All right, welcome back. This is Mr. Collazo again, and now we are talking about continuous and discrete graphs, okay? So we're going to be looking at graphs and determine if they're discrete or continuous, and we're going to be determining if they're functions or not functions. So if we look at number one, we want to know if that's discrete or continuous, okay? So remember that we do the trick, right? We put our pen from one side. If I can go all the way to the end, it's continuous. So this graph is continuous. And the reason is because it's an unbroken line. Right? I can take my pen from one end to the next. Now we want to determine if it's a function or not a function. So we would do the vertical line test. So we can just do a couple vertical lines. So that one hits at 1 point. That one hits at 1 point. That one hits at 1 point. Right? We can kind of see that if we were to continue drawing vertical lines, it would pass the vertical line test, right? So this is a function. And for y, we can say pass VLT, vertical line test. I'll write it out for the first time. Vertical line test, VLT, okay? Number two. So number two, we look at the graph, and hopefully you can kind of get the idea of this, right? If I was to try to draw my pen, I have 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point. So to get to each point, I need to pick up my pen. So this graph is going to be discrete. And for the reason why, well, it's isolated points. Right? They're all separate. They're just random little dots, okay? Now, for function or not a function, still, we need to do the vertical line test. So if I do it here, I hit at 1 point, hits 1 point, hits 1 point, hits 1 point. So this would pass the vertical line test. So this is a function. Okay, but you kind of need to watch out with the dots. Make sure none of them overlap, okay? Number three, so same thing. Take my pen from one side. I can trace it all the way to the end. So this is continuous. And again, the reason why, it is an unbroken line. Unbroken line, okay? And then function or not a function, again, vertical line tests. Boom, passes, passes, passes. We could keep going. This would pass. So this is a function. So why? Because it passes vertical line test. Okay? Moving on. Let's go to 4, 5, and 6. So 4. So let's take our pen at the end, and we can trace it all the way down, and it is unbroken, right? So that means this is a continuous graph. And again, the reason why, it is an unbroken line. Okay? And then function or not a function, we can do a couple vertical lines. Hits at 1 point, hits at 1 point, hits at 1 point, hits at 1 point. Right? So this one is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Okay? Next one, number 5. So number 5, hopefully y'all can see the pattern already. We have some like random dots. So I have a dot here, a dot here, here, and here. So to go to each point, I had to pick up my pen, so that is discrete, because they are all isolated points. Okay. And then function or not a function, vertical line test. So that one hits at 1 point, hits at 1 point, hits at 1 point, hits at 1 point. So this is a function. So why? Because it passes the vertical line test. Last one though. So number 6, okay, again, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 isolated points. So that means this is discrete data because it's isolated points. Okay, now let's do the vertical line test. So here, hits at 1 point, hits at 1 point. Oh, but look at this. This one hits at 2 points. So for the first time on this whole note sheet, we have one that is not a function, okay? Because this one failed the vertical line test. So fails VLT, okay? So not all of them are gonna be functions, okay? So you kinda gotta watch out. You gotta be sure to check them all. Even though like most of them were functions, still gotta check, because you never know when one's gonna be there, okay? So that is all for graphs. So make sure y'all tune into the next video where we're gonna go over some scenarios. Okay, so if y'all have any questions, ask your teacher. I'll see y'all in the next video.